everybody. Morning, 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 and happy Halloween. I hope everybody is having a spooky, spectacular Halloween and has so many amazing plans for today. I am excited. I love Halloween. It's one of my favorite holidays. Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, they're my favorite holidays. Christmas is my favorite, but Halloween is a close second. A close second. The vibes are always immaculate. The kids are excited. People are outside walking around. If you've got a good neighborhood for trick-or-treating, it's great. I absolutely love Halloween. That being said, I am not the biggest fan of scary movies and scary books, but I do have some select few that I absolutely love. When it comes to scary books, I like thrillers. I like whodunit murder mysteries. There can be a few little jump scare type situations, or a couple of moments where you're like, ooh, that's creepy. But I like thrillers the best. You guys know I read a lot of Ruth Ware, of Lucy Foley, that kind of thing. Recently, really got into Alex, I believe it's Michelson or something like that. It is like a Greek last name. He did The Maidens and The Silent Patient, that author. And I always say his last name wrong. Impeccable thriller, whodunit work. Absolutely love it. So when you're talking horror, it's not really my favorite genre, but I do like something with a good spook to it. One of the creepiest books I've ever read was, I feel like it was last year. It may have been at the very beginning of this year. I think it was at the beginning of this year because I feel like I YouTubed it. It was Karen Slaughter's All the Pretty Girls or All the Pretty Things. I believe it was All the Pretty Girls. That one gave me like goosebumps. I have another Karen Slaughter on hold at the library that I'm waiting for it to drop. Yeah, it's a spooky one. It deals with torture porn, and it just creepy and left me feeling icky. That was one of the creepiest books I've ever read. But it was super good, and I loved the ending, and she had a great ending for it, so it made it one of my favorite reads for a while. The scariest book I think I've ever read is by the king of scary. The king. Stephen King. I've read some of his not like typical scary stuff, like the Dark Tower series, but sip the coffee, do the things. The scariest book I've ever read, and I want to almost go back and reread it because maybe I was just young, but I read it in high school. It came out in 1999. I would have read it around 2002 probably. It was called The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon. It's not like one of Stephen King's best sellers. It's not like, Pet Sematary or whatever. But it was so scary to me. It is about a girl who gets lost in the woods. And, just about her time in the woods. And she keeps seeing dead animals and things, and something is obviously killing things. And she basically, in her dehydration and malnutrition state, imagines her favorite baseball player, Tom Gordon, is there with her and talking to her. And it's just a spooky book. I looked at the woods differently for a long time after that one. I remember we lived in Kentucky, and at my mother's house there was a lot of wooded area. And I remember just being absolutely terrified. The scariest movie I ever saw was in middle school. I watched the Blair Witch Project at a sleepover. And it was in the woods. And it scared the daylights out of me. The next scary movie I saw, like the first one I ever saw in theaters, was Scream 3 for a birthday party. I went with like a group of girls from my school. And I feel like that was also middle school or possibly freshman year of high school. But I vividly remember being like my daughter's age, like 13, 14, and watching the Blair Witch Project at my friend in Kentucky's house. Her name was Katie. I've looked for this person on Facebook and other social medias, but she must be married or doesn't do social media because her last name is different than what I remember it being. She was like my best friend in the middle school years. And she moved out to the like middle of nowhere, Kentucky, really wooded area, cemetery across the street. And I watched Blair Witch Project at that new house. And it gave me horrible nightmares. And I vividly remember being like terrified. And the other girls there were not that scared. I was hella scared. Lauren doesn't do scary. My husband and I in October, we always do scary movie watch throughs. So some of our favorites are like Fright Night, Bram Stoker's Dracula. We just watched a movie last night called The Phantoms. Ben Affleck, young Rose McGowan. That's a creepy movie. That is super creepy. Very Alien-esque. It's kind of the vibes it's got. Ooh, I love John Carpenter's vampires. Pretty much if you're in the vampire genre, Lauren's good. But you get into like the torture genre, like the Saws or the Hostels, and I don't do that. But I like spooky, alien-y type things a lot, and I love vampires and werewolves. I'm okay with all of that. So I like scary. It's just got to be my niche of scary. Do you guys like scary movies? Do you like scary books? What's the scariest book you've ever read? 9 times out of 10, I bet you it's a Stephen King book. Mine sure is. The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon. If you haven't read Stephen King's The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon, read it. It is creepy, and not like It or Pet Sematary creepy, like a whole different kind of like, is she losing her mind? Is some of this stuff really happening? Is she going to die in these woods? Creepy. But definitely a good read. So I hope you guys are having the most amazing Halloween. I call this my Betty cup, and anybody who knows me personally will know why I call this my Betty cup. Because I have friends who have a dog who looks exactly like this dog right here. And I love it. And I want to get her a little vampire costume, make her sit next to my mug, because it's so cute. And I love you guys so much, and I will see you guys next week. Happy Halloween.